guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today, for you guys, is another Mission Impossible movie review. Today we're tackling Mission Impossible 3, MI3, whatever you want to call it. This one is directed by J.J. Abrams, who of course did like some Star Trek stuff. Of course, if you know me, you know that he also did The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker, two of my favorite Star Wars films and my favorite films of all time. And yeah, look, Mission Impossible 1 was good. You know what I mean? Like, you watch my review, but I pretty much enjoyed it. It's a little slow, not that much action, but, you know, it was a good, like, espionage, you know, spy thing. It was good. It was the first one. They're kind of setting the stage and all that. MI2 was John Woo. That didn't mean to rhyme. And basically, from that, we get kind of this Asian director kind of going to the West filmmaking and bringing his talents, and those were explosions and doves and slow motion. It's not a horrible movie, okay? But it was, yeah, you know, it was whatever. But going from Mission Impossible 2 to 3 is to TO3. I mean, I'm trying to think of like an analogy or some kind of comparison, but I effing can't, because it's like going from drinking poop water, or like liquid poop, to water. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like drinking or eating bugs to eating Chipotle. You know what I mean? It's a big, considerable step up. And I say that in the best of ways, because I enjoyed 1, and after 2 I was like, alright, this is okay, but if this is what the whole rest of it's going to be, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, they're fine, they're watchable, but then the second I started Mission Impossible 3, and it was like the most night to day thing in the whole friggin' world, I swear to God, because it starts with like this really intense scene, of course, spoiler alert, but, you know, it's from 2006. I'm probably the only guy who hasn't seen it, but it starts out with this really crazy, like, intimidation, you know, scene where Ethan Hunt is kind of like strapped to a chair and his wife Julia is about to die, and Owen Davian, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, which I know nothing about the guy. I know he died sadly, but I don't know what else he's in, but he plays he's a damn good villain. Like, he's like Heath Ledger Joker, or like Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Like, you know, like when you watch a villain movie and you're like, wow, this guy gave a really good, you know, villain performance, and there's, you know, millions of others. You got Thanos, Kylo Ren, you know, there's a bunch of them. But this one felt different, because the other two were just, oh, you know, the guy from the first one is just whatever. The guy from the second one is like some kind of drug thing, and he's like, I'm gonna stop Ethan Hunt, you know, it's like, whatever. Yeah, it's a classic, like, espionage spy villain, but then you get to this one, and it's immediately personal, and the stakes are, like, through the friggin' roof, because the way that J.J. Abrams directed this film is insane. Like, I knew nothing about you know, when the movie starts, you know nothing about Juliet, you know nothing about Ethan, you know, who the fudge is this blonde guy, like, who is this, what's happening, you know what I mean? But even though you're confused, and he's looking for the rabbit's foot or whatever, you're like, what is this crazy thing that's going on? This is confusing. But the way it's shot and addressed and filmed makes it very intense and personal, and I was literally sitting in my chair like, holy shit, this is like 0 to 10, because, you know, the second one's like, you know, he's like spinning around, shooting guys in slow motion, and his hair's flapping everywhere, and there's doves everywhere, just explosions, it's craziness. And this one just felt more grounded in reality and more realistic in its approach, and you can tell it's just, you know, the first action scene where Ethan's kind of going in with you know, that one girl, and they're kind of, you know, attacking her, and he's trying to save that girl, that, you know, Owen Davian, not Owen from Jurassic World, Owen, you know, the bad guy in this one, captures one of the Mission Impossible, you know, agents, and Ethan's got to go in and save her, and, you know, like I said, the second one is very much, he's doing front flips, he's doing back flips, he's doing all these weird twirls and stuff, you know what I mean? This one, he's like a legit, like, Call of Duty Modern Warfare motherfudger, you know what I mean? They got the assault rifle with the SMG, even, you know, shooting guys, he, like, squibs and dust and shit. I mean, it's really more intense, and it's cool because, you know, yeah, Ethan Hunt is a very good, you know, well-trained IMF agent, so to see that he can do those front flips in 2, you know, his style of fighting, I like to think, kind of, you know, depends on the scene, you know, situation that he's in. So in 2, he's kind of flopping and flooping around, but in this one, he has to be a lot more tactical, and he's got the stun grenades, and he's got the cool gun, and, you know, he just moves more tactical. I mean, the fight scenes are not, like, as, you know, crazy, where he's like doing these weird kicks and stuff, you know what I mean, like a tiger on meth. He's just like, this movie is what I wanted to, and to some extension, 1 to be like, because it's so amazing. Like, that first scene is really great. It's a lot more dark, a lot more gritty. You know, it's still PG-13, but they're kind of pushing that boundary a lot. I mean, like I said, you get Owen Davian's character, he's just very intense. I mean, it could have come off as kind of cliche, because he's not like screaming and screeching like an idiot kind of bad guy, you know what I mean? He's kind of more, like I said, he's more grounded like the film itself. He's more reserved. He, immediately after getting captured, he asks Ethan if he has a girlfriend or wife, because when he breaks out, he's going to capture her and kill her and make her squeal and all that. It's very kind of dark and kind of disturbing dialogue that he spouts out. And that makes for a really badass villain, and a pretty freaking terrifying villain as well, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, this guy, he means business, this is going to be, like, it's crazy. And then he kind of shows Ethan's character, and he kind of loses his mind at one point and almost kills him out of rage. And then you got that freaking awesome, the bridge fight where Ethan's running and, like, the RPG hits something and he kind of flops it. Obviously, it's a wire pole, but it looks really damn good. Like, he flops and hits the side of a thing. It's pretty great stuff. And it looks really, really good. It just kind of blends to that, more visceral and in-your-face style, where, it's not just slow-motion gun, akimbo gun shit. Like, he's really kind of doing this more tactically, and that tactical, reserved feeling kind of ends itself into the dialogue and the filmmaking. And, Billy Crudup is good, who's kind of this other guy. I don't really know. I think Billy Crudup was in Watchmen, the movie by Zack Snyder. I don't really know anything about him. Lawrence Fishburne is in this, so I just saw Perry White from the DCEU, which was kind of cool. Which is cool, there's a lot of different IMF stuff and a lot of different IMF people on the top kind of giving the rules and all that. Of course, you got the mask pulling. It's not as, like, twisty and turny as 1 or 2, where it's like, oh man, that guy was in a mask the whole time. It's like, oh my god, he was a Skrull, type of thing. But there's enough twists and turns in there where I was like, okay, this is consistently keeping me on the edge of my seat. And I was, because I was on my seat, and I was kind of leaning forward, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm into this, because 2 I was into, but this one really, really, like, this is a great movie. Like, it's not just the best Mission Impossible so far. Again, I'm only on 3 out of, 7, and I'm going to watch the other ones, very soon, but this one really, really felt cool. And again, I love the way it was written. I love the way that you don't really know what the rabbit's foot is, and then you kind of never really find out. Of course, we know what it is, like a toxin, chemical, biohazard thing, because of the biohazard logo thing on it. But even the way that Seymour Hoffman's character, even the way that he dies, is just like, like Ethan is, they got that Suicide Squad type, like, brain pill implant, shoots up their nose or whatever, and that's, of course, what kills the girl in the beginning that he tries to save. But in this, it's like, okay, now it's in Ethan, and he's got to effing, protect not only his wife, which, by the way, they do get married in this film, and it's actually really, it's well directed. I think I don't want to say cute, but it was cool. Like, I'm sitting there and I was kind of like grinning. I'm like, oh, that's a cool scene. I like that they added that in there, and you'll know what I mean when you see it, but if you have seen it. But I'm assuming you have at this point. It's more than, it's from 2006. But at the same time, there's enough of these moments where you're either laughing a little bit, it's not like that funny, but there's a few jokes in there, but really it's that darkness, the edginess, the action is really good, a lot more, like I said, grounded in reality than the second one, where he's kind of doing all these weird flips and all that, and it's a good time, definitely. I mean, there are some crazy elements from, like, oh man, like, especially that ending. There's a shot where Ethan and Julia are kind of like trying to get this thing out of his brain. He's like, you gotta kill me so that you can revive me. And this one shot, I can't even tell you what the name of the effing shot, but there's one shot, and I saw it in a trailer at one point. He's like kind of like limping along, and his wife's behind him, and he has this gun. And he's kind of like still trying to cover the corners, like Captain Price would in Modern Warfare, And the framing of the shot is almost like it's almost slow motion, because he's moving in slow motion because he's dying, and he's trying to kind of get this pill shit out of his nose. And the way that the scene kind of reflects that in the filmmaking is really cool. And like I said, even when he's like punching with his elbows and all that, because he kind of has nothing else to do. And like I said, even the way the guy dies, Davian's character, it's not some crazy, front flip and then explosion and, some slow motion where, like, he kicks up a gun in the sand and dramatic stuff and this music and the doves. It's very much grounded where, yeah, he just gets hit by a freaking truck, you know what I mean? Like, it's whatever. I mean, it literally made me go, oh shit! Like, I said that out loud because I was like, I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was going to go out in some crazy explosion or some kind of mask reveal or some kind of crazy, helicopter chase like the first one. But no, it felt more reserved and real because the stakes were real, because he was going to, A, try to save his wife, and then B, he was going to die. And, little things like that. And I also like the fact that he kind of writes on a window. Like, Ethan clearly, the way, obviously he's a good fighter and stuff, but he's also kind of smart. You have to be an IMF agent. So I like that he's like just drawing on the freaking window. He's like, all right, so how big is this building? And where's this one from that that one, and he's kind of like planning this whole, rescue operation in his head. And they're like, "You're effing crazy, Hunt." He's like, "Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? I gotta save my wife." We'd probably all do the same. I don't know if I'd jump off a 50,000 skyscraper to save a girl I like, but you never know. Maybe if she's hot enough, who knows? But I do think that it's a really commendable scene that kind of cements Ethan as not just a crazy, cool action hero, but he's smart and he's intelligent and he knows what his limits are. And sometimes he goes beyond those limits for people that he likes. I mean, good stuff. Of course, Simon Pegg is in this as well. I was a little bit nervous that because he's a mainstay in the future movies, and I was like, oh, is he just going to be that stupid, because he's a comedic actor, is he going to be that dumb guy that's just like, oh, hey, Ethan, why am I doing that? Hey, Ethan, I got this bloody rabbit's foot, mate, jokes. And yeah, he did do jokes, and some of them were kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, as far as negatives, maybe that would be one, is that he's just kind of the comic relief. Of course, they're going to expand his character. There's also scenes where, like, Ethan climbs the hunt, he climbs the thing, and he's like, "Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall." And so, little things like that, which is just, that kind of reminded me of, like, the first movie, where they're just kind of saying these crazy, weird catchphrases. And, like, like the original Ghostbusters, I mean, they're just kind of like, "One down in the clown," or "downtown," just dumb stuff like that. And, some of it doesn't hit. Especially comedy-wise, coming from Simon Pegg's character, Benji Dunn, I believe, or Benjamin. And, but, I mean, really, I'm scratching my brain, because I can't think of that many negatives. This really did improve on every aspect from one. It's hard to do that, because one is one. Like, how do you improve on the first one? Because it was the first one. I mean, you gotta establish your world and all that. But 2 is not I'm not gonna pretend 2 is a bad movie. It's not. But going from 2 to this one, literally, like I said in the beginning, it's literally day versus night. It's like eating bugs versus, like I said, I think Chipotle or something. It's really a crazy, kind of change. And I was sitting there, like, moment one, I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is instantly better. Like, the tension is there, the stakes, the action, the CGI is better, the acting, the writing, the storylines, the way it's filmed. Of course, J.J. Abrams is a really good director, so I didn't really, have a doubt about that. But some good stuff. Good helicopter chase with, like, the turbines and the windmills or whatever. It's crazy, man. It's a really fun time. Very intense. Because of that intensity, it really made me care about the character. And even the way the movie ends, where they're just walking off into camera and Luther Stickles, like, throwing his arms up and they're all surprised and they're throwing him, like, a little party. It just felt human, It felt real. It didn't feel like they were kind of phoning it in, or it felt kind of weird. Like John Woo felt like his genre of filmmaking didn't quite mix with this. And this one, obviously, J.J. Abrams has done a lot of action movies, and he, of course, like I said, he did Star Wars, so he knows how to do action well. And, of course, he did this before the sequels, but still, it's a really, really good kind of, change to have, because it felt more tactical and real, and I think that really cemented the film as being more believable, and just, because obviously this stuff is crazy, but at the same time, it somehow didn't feel cringy or kind of cliche, or it felt, oh, that's a little too far-fetched, because everything is so grounded in reality with an amazing script, really good, I mean, the way that they even, like, capture, Davian in the bathroom even, where he's, like, dressed as him, I mean, it's great, like, the guy's a really good actor in this. I was like, holy crap, this dude is given, like, I didn't expect such a good performance out of the villain in Mission Impossible 3. I was like, alright, the villain's probably going to be good, and then we're going to move on, like, 2, but this one was, like, really effing good. And, like, this is, if you look online, like, a lot of people's favorite Mission Impossible film is this one, because the villain is so good, and the action is so good, and the writing, and the effects, and just the storytelling. It's really top-tier stuff. Not just for Mission Impossible so far, but just for movies in general. It might be one of my favorite action films ever. I mean, it's a really, really good movie. It kind of surprised the heck out of me. So I'm going to give Mission Impossible 3 an A. Again, my only issue is that some of the comedy doesn't land with Benji, and maybe there's 1 or 2 lines that felt kind of forced or whatever. But overall, man, it's a really, really good time. Really epic, really intense, really fun, and just kind of made me root for the characters. And Julia's a good character. I don't know. Don't spoil it, because I haven't seen 4 yet through 7. But I've only seen, obviously, 1 through 3 so far, obviously. And I don't know where Julia is going to go. I don't know where this is going to turn in the future. So don't tell me down below. I'm going to find out for myself when I review the rest of these movies, which, again, Mission Impossible 4 should be coming out very soon. Hopefully one of these days here. I mean, I really want to watch it. So I just got to find time with school and all that, because like, I think it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something, but I gotta find time. But it's a good movie franchise, man. And again, it's crazy how insanely good the step up was from 2 to 3. Because again, 2 ain't bad, but like going from, if you watch 2 and then 3, like watch 2 on Monday, watch 3 on Wednesday, and I guess watch 1 on Sunday. You know, going from order 1 to 3 or whatever. Obviously, that's how you should watch it. But for me, especially, I was like, all right, this is good, but how is this going to get better? And 3 answered that question of how it's going to get better. It's a really great film. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.